All right, welcome into edition number 2 of Get Real with Ben Bleicher. He's a realtor with Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Ambassador Real Estate. Ben, great to talk to you again as we do our second edition of Get Real with Ben Bleicher.
Hi, Jake. Good to be back.
Hey, it's good to have you back. And we have a lot to get to today. Again, if you guys have any questions, you can all call or text 402-464-5685 on our phone line and our text line also, as we have a lot of things to discuss with homes for sale, how to get your home up in terms of on the market, and all the different options for that. But before we get going, Ben, we did not have the show last week because you were traveling, not for fun, but for business. Tell us where you were at and what your event was all about.
Well, it was fun, Jake. I don't do anything and not incorporate fun into it.
Sure.
But one of my guys, Andy Sprick, and I went down to Austin, Texas for a little private Zillow event they had to introduce some things that they've been doing as of late and talk about, 2024. It's been an interesting year, and they always have some sort of conference at the end of each one to talk about, where we've been for the year and where we're going. And they always buy a lot of people up. They own Dot Loop. They just announced, I believe that they're purchasing Follow Up Boston, a huge CRM, similar to like Zapier, where one thing can feed another that's not incorporated. It's an interesting product, but it was good. It was a tech conference. It was an opportunity for a lot of, I think they only invited like the top 1% or something.
Wow.
Like that. There's only 500. I think there was 500 people they invited, and we each were very limited, only bringing one guest. I've been to a couple events they had in Vegas where they had so many people. It was like, I keep telling people there's like 10,000 people at the last one I went to. That may be a stretch, but it was significantly more than was at this event.
Wow. So yeah. 500. Top 1%. That's right. Ben Bleicher, top 1%. That's you. Making big things happen. Anybody, who else be your crew in? Just you or anybody else?
Just me and Andy.
Just
Andy
you and Andy.
Sprick.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Nice.
I wanted to bring them all. I think they would have all benefited a lot, but unfortunately I was limited, but we had a good time. We took notes. Some of it I can talk about, some of it I won't talk about because it's proprietary stuff that we learned, but it was very informative, and it was in Austin. Normally it's in Vegas, and I would much prefer to go to Austin than Vegas. I
you
wouldn't
seem
have
like
said
a
that
Vegas
10 years
guy,
ago.
Ben.
It's good Vegas all the time.
Way it is. So when your next event you have like this, again, this was a top 1%. When's the next one you have in terms of your next learning opportunity?
I don't know. I'll probably go to the National Association of Realtors convention they have. I've actually never been to that. And it's always in a different place. The older I get in the business, the more I want to collaborate with other top people.
Sure.
Because I'm not the best at what I do. I think I'm the best in our market at what I do. But there's people that are bigger. It's the mindset that if you're the smartest person in the room, you've surrounded yourself with the wrong people, right? Like you want other people's opinions and stuff like that. And the older I get in the business, the more I want to know what other people are doing, because that's how I mold mine. So
that's all right. Always learning, always getting better every day. Ben Bleicher again with Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Ambassador Real Estate. We are, if you're curious, if this is your first time listening, this show is all about real estate. It's all about buying and selling in the market. Lincoln, and we can help those outside Lincoln also in terms of the process, who to trust, how to go through it. And Ben is certainly a very respected and qualified real estate agent here in Lincoln, and that's why we have a show with him today. So, and going forward. But let's get to a couple of things, Ben. You mentioned off the bat you want to talk about some different tools that realtors use and people buying and selling homes refer to. And number one, a very, very popular website that people go to is Zillow, Zillow. You've all been on there. You try to see how much your home's worth, how much a certain home you might like is worth. Ben, in terms of Zillow, how much of a help is that to you, and how much do you use Zillow?
We're very friendly with Zillow.
Okay.
We've got a great reciprocating relationship. Um, they have great technology. We all have our own home valuation software. Theirs, I don't always agree with as much. They call it their estimate. Um, I usually tell people they'll get the best one from having somebody actually run a market analysis on their house. I don't feel like an algorithm can necessarily predict. Plus, the biggest problem with Zillow that I've had, and I'm sure they're always making strides to make this better, is that if you own a ranch home and you go on there and you look at their comps, sometimes you have a 2-story, and you cannot compare a 1-story with a 2-story. There's you just can't.
Mm-hmm.
Like an appraiser would say, I don't have good enough comps to ever look at a 2-story when I'm comping a ranch, and that tends to pop up a lot. We have a home value website that's, in my opinion, a little bit more dialed in. Our website's prg-ne.com. If you add a /home value to the end of that, we've got a really good calculator. But at the end of the day, we really want you to look at that as a basis for the conversation. And then I have to go out and spend 30 minutes looking at a house. But it's more than just looking at the value of the house when I go. I mean, I'm looking for problems. I'm looking for things that they could do to improve it, to get them the most value when they go to sell. The last 3 years, we told people do nothing. It could be the worst house in the block, and we still get 5 offers for it. It didn't matter.
Yep.
And that has shifted super hard. People. We've got quite a few that are sitting there. I just had a conversation with some friends of mine last night whose house we have for sale. A couple months ago when we started the process, I initially had told them you don't need to do much. Well, we're 2 months in, and so we had a conversation and started dialing in some little things that we could do that would make it sell. And they're going to take the time to do that this week. And hopefully we go back on in a week and it sells. But there's certainly a different approach now than we had from end of 2019 to the beginning of 2023.
I think a common question myself, and this show is great for me because I have a lot of questions myself in terms of real estate. And, my wife's house and our house is listed at a certain price. It doesn't really know that we've done upgrades inside that house in terms of major renovations to the kitchen, to the bathroom, to really all parts of the house. Is that something that a realtor reports to Zillow, or is it something that you can report yourself? And how does that change the estimate? And I guess, how does that go?
That's the problem. That's the biggest problem, is it's a robot and it doesn't know.
Okay.
Just like most AI things, it only knows what it knows.
Yep.
It doesn't have access currently. Well, I mean, I guess they have access to some county assessor sites, but they're not smart enough yet to start digging into these sites and saying, did this guy pull a permit for this? It's not always easy for the assessor to know because people don't always pull permits. So having all the knowledge is impossible for these systems to have. So ours, you actually can tweak. You can go into our home valuation, and you and I haven't talked about this, but you can go in and make sure the number of bedrooms and bathrooms and square footage, at least the base is there. Because a lot of people will, especially now, will build a new construction house, and at the time they can't afford the extra $50,000 to finish the basement, so they'll leave it unfinished.
Okay.
Well, somebody's uncle's a drywaller or something, so they do all the work to it and have it done, and nobody knows except for them, and they don't want anybody to know because they don't want the county assessor to raise their value and make their taxes go up. We're 2% in Lincoln, which is not as high as Omaha, but it's nationally it's a fairly high rate. I mean, if you own a $500,000 house, you pay $10,000 a year in taxes.
Yikes!
It's a big number.
No bueno.
No. So you want to keep that number as low as you can. But anyways, its accuracy is only as good as the knowledge they have. So it's a good basis for deciding whether you're in the ballpark. But I have seen houses where, maybe the house was only worth like 5 and Zillow was either super high above it or low. That's the worst, is when they're low and people decide not to sell because Zillow's like, your house isn't worth this much. And some of these, home valuation websites aren't any better than Zillow either. And so they make decisions based on that rather than bringing somebody in to actually do a in-depth market analysis. And I mean, I spent 30 minutes at the house. I spent another 30 minutes at a computer looking at comps, and we've got a special spreadsheet that we punch everything into so we can show people what it's worth and not just throw a number. That's the worst. People listening, if you ever have a realtor who tells you a number and won't show you how they got there, throw it in the garbage
Boom.
and call me. I will show you how. It's important. I mean, a lot of.
How often does that happen? Is that a pretty common thing that realtors
all the
do
time.
that?
All the time. There are multiple websites that realtors can use to kind of cheat, where they just punch it in and they can adjust little things, but it does not factor for the little tiny adjustments, which totally matter. They do. I mean, you're talking the biggest investment you've ever made, and probably the biggest thing you've ever sold. When you go to sell it, don't you want to know that you're getting the most money?
Ideally, yes. Yes.
Here's where this is dangerous: is you get these realtors who don't know what they're doing, and they come in and sell your $500,000 house for $450,000. What if you found that out a year later?
I'd be pissed, Ben.
So
Rightfully so.
So there is a science to this. Absolutely, it's not. There's very little gut instinct. Now, experience plays a huge role in how good you are at doing these adjustments. I mean, it took me every year I get better at it. I get more and more experience. It makes me better at my job. But it's very important to do. Seriously, make sure they show you how they get to the number, and if they can't, find someone who knows.
It's amazing, Ben, because I think back to take us both way back to high school when we were trained to show how to get to the answer in like a math class.
Right. Show your work.
And we said, no, it's dumb. I just want to show the answer. Now you respect that. Say, I get that, man. Like, that's my life. I understand. I myself would like to see how you got to this particular number, because you can't just throw a number out there and say, oh, this is just what it is.
People will settle for that, though. People don't know, which is why we're talking about it now. I don't know that I'll ever be able to show the spreadsheet on here. It's extremely proprietary. Well, it is. I mean, there's equations in the spreadsheet that I guess nobody would see if we showed it, but there's a lot of calculations that go into it. And it's not, there's a system called RPR. That's probably the most common one. It's great. It's a really good resource for realtors, but it's not the right answer all the time. And most of the time it doesn't have the level of depth. Again, anybody might be able to get to a certain value on a house, but by punching it into that, but to do like what an appraiser does, an appraiser gives you a 100-page appraisal when you're done. That's ideally, I mean, realistically, if we could afford it in our business to pay an appraiser $500 a house to get a price like down to the penny, we would. And sometimes we do. I mean, if I sell a house that's well over $1 million, sometimes I will hire an appraiser to come in and be surgical. And we're pretty surgical, but those guys are like, I can do it on a spreadsheet. These guys take a book. I mean, they literally hand you like 100 to 200 page report saying this is why, and like every possible adjustment. That's generally not necessary unless it's a very unique house or something.
Okay.
But anyway, it's very important. You need to know that you're getting the most value. It also helps with pricing. It was tough to overprice a whole lot the last 3 years. I mean, if you did, it was suicide for your property. If it did not sell in the first 2 days, you're in trouble.
Yep.
So everybody knew you're overpriced. But now it's even more so, because if you overprice it now, a stale listing always sits longer, but there's also never any reason to underprice it in this market because we're not getting fire sales anymore. So, but some agents will talk people into doing that because it makes their life easier and it goes faster. But yeah, we'll talk more about fiduciary responsibility.
Fiduciary, like that word. Now, this comes back to a little bit, Ben, and I hate to that you have talked to me many times, many years in the past about a frustration, not just in Lincoln, but across the state, probably across the globe, about those who might be doing real estate as a hobby and not as a career. It's really a side gig versus a career. And I would tend to think that this thing we're talking about is probably another part of the issue about, hey, things properly or improperly priced just to maybe get a sale versus in-depth pricing, in-depth study on that. Is that something that you see from maybe more inexperienced or part-time realtors versus a full-time one like yourself and your crew?
It is still something I complain about.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever going to change for you.
It's getting better. I mean, one nice thing about the market finally slowing down and interest rates being higher and the market not being as good is, all these agents that watch too much home and garden TV and too much
yeah.
$1 million listing and stuff and think that uh, real estate is a certain way. They're having rude awakenings that it's not. It's a hard job. It's a super difficult job. Those of us that do a lot of business, I mean, it's rare that I don't work 60, 70 hours a week. It doesn't bother me. I like to work. You know that.
I do.
I love
I
to
do
work.
know that.
I get bored if I sit at home, so I'd rather be out and making money.
Ben likes UFC and working. That's what you like.
I love UFC.
You do.
And normally Husker football.
And yeah, typically when they're not losing games.
I love Husker football. Anyway, we're not going to talk sports.
No, we're not. This is a real estate show. By the way, again, he is Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Ambassador Real Estate. You can call the number 402 Homes for You, or go to the website prg-ne.com/home value. That's how you can get a hold of Ben Bleicher and his squad.
Or you can call me and get me or any of my talented agents by calling 402 Homes for You.
402 Homes for You. That's the place to call there. So again, the question I had is this, and we'll get to we have a few minutes before we get to break here, is my wife and I really like our neighborhood that we are in, and that is the Wellington Greens area at like 70th and South area.
Very familiar.
I'm curious in general so this is our first home together. Now, when you talk to maybe a second-time home buyer for somebody, but again, I'm 32, my wife's 29, kind of a good age to buy a second home. We're in a townhouse right now. Do you see a lot that people try to stay in the same area? And if so, how do you give them advice in terms of the type of home to look for to be in that same area, if that is a universal thing at all?
We live where we work and we live where we play.
Sure.
I don't see people staying in the same area necessarily. Lincoln has two very different sides of town as far as it's nothing bad. Both sides of Lincoln are great. They really are. They both have positive attributes. South Lincoln has a few more restaurants, but people in North Lincoln get downtown a lot easier, in my opinion, where there's also a lot of great restaurants. And I won't give them too much of a plug because they won't move south for me, but I don't have Isles Pizza.
Oh, I love Isles Pizza.
At the southeast corner of town, and so I still go there, and I love it. And I used to talk to the owner. He probably doesn't remember me. Back when I wasn't advertising, I used to always be like, "You guys really need to open a south location." Anyways,
sidebar.
Yeah. Anyways, location is huge, but it's I don't know that people necessarily. Lincoln's not that big, so nobody really cares if you live at 70th and Van Dorn or 56th and Pine Lake. They're so close to each other that it's not that much of a difference. But people do move because of their jobs moving. If you work in the southwest quadrant of town, you probably don't want to live in Waterford. You might if you don't mind the drive, but most of us who have kids and other obligations besides ourselves don't want to drive 30 minutes back and forth, which is the same reason we don't have a ton of people that commute to Omaha. There's alternatives like Ashland and Eagle and things like that to get us a little bit closer between. Anyways, those are questions I ask a lot when I'm qualifying people for their next move is what's important. And not just things they want to be by, but things they don't want to be by. The list is huge. We could do a whole show on preparing to buy a house. We probably should.
That's pretty important, I think.
Oh, it's hugely important. There's so many factors. And my favorite line, and every client of mine who watches this has seen this, where I always say, when you start looking, your list of wants and needs is up here, and your list of things you don't want is way down here, because you don't know what you don't know what you don't know until you've looked at a bunch of houses and explored things. It's really not on your radar. We're all dreamers, right? We all want everything, but until you come up with a list of things that you don't like, and not just about parts of town, but in the house itself, That's why I try to tell people not to buy the first house they look at, because I'm like, you are just not educated enough in what you want. And people, some would argue with me, be like, I know what I want. You do know what you want, but you don't know what you don't want until you've experienced it. I mean, I'll have clients that start off saying we only want a 2-story or ranch, and I show them 30 houses, and by the time we're done, their criteria is like complete opposite of where we started.
Yeah, I'm curious. Okay, in general, just for those who maybe don't know, first-time home buyer, second-time home buyer, whatever. Is there an average amount of homes that you show to a home buyer? Like, what would you say the average is? What's a high? What's a low?
I mean, the low is always
30 seems really high.
The one house. That's what it used to be. It wasn't like that the last 3 years, which we're going to keep talking about because the last 3 years was an anomaly, obviously. I showed people 3 or 4 houses, and if there were any sort of hurry, they jumped on it. Even though I tried to talk them out of it, the market also delegates what people do, right? I mean, when it's like crazy, people act crazy a little bit. So I have clients that I've shown houses to for years. They're passive buyers. They're not in a big hurry. I have a client who bought a house in 2018, I think, knowing that they wanted to eventually buy a house in the Ridge. That was kind of their target area. And we looked at every single house that came up in the Ridge until they found the one they wanted to buy, and they bought it. And we probably looked at 50.
Wow.
It is what it is.
Long process.
Like showing houses to people. I mean, it's kind of the fun part of our job is we constantly get to explore and look at other people's houses. Everybody gets to open other people's doors every day. You know, it's kind of fun.
Well, I would think too. Now, maybe I'm speaking out of turn here, but if you are a real estate agent, you didn't build that house. You know, if someone doesn't like it, they're not calling your baby ugly. You didn't build the house. That's your current one you're showing off. You're going to sell it to someone's going to buy it,
right?
Because every house, you know, has a buyer out there someplace. But I would think that rejection is much different for you in the real estate world than maybe other types of sales.
Yeah, I don't take.
I mean, you've been a sales guy your whole life in certain different elements before real estate.
And that's why I love real estate, because I don't have to sell anything. The house is selling.
The house sells.
Now when I have listings, I need to present them in their best light and advertise them and market them. But even at open houses, like the pushy realtor who tries to get everybody to buy the house they have generally doesn't sell very fast, because you got somebody like cramming it down your throat, like, look at all this great stuff about this. Yeah. My approach is very different now that I am still in sales, but I'm not in high pressure sales at all. And I do feel that houses sell themselves. I would never, I'll tell somebody not to buy a house 100 times before I'll ever say you should buy this house. And I don't know that I ever have, unless somebody asks me, like, is this a good investment? Like, I get that all the time. Like, is this a good investment? And I will hardly ever give them a yes or no answer. It's always more in depth. Like, a good investment for what? Like, you looking to live here for a certain amount of time? Like, what's your goal? Because not everyone is a good investment. Like, if you called me and said, Ben, we're going to move somewhere in 2 years and we want to buy a new house before then, I wouldn't even let you consider it. I would do my best to talk you out of doing that, because that would not be good for you.
Gotcha.
Goes back to being a fiduciary. You got to put. We will seriously have an episode about being a fiduciary, but we are expected to be one, which means that we are expected to put our clients' interests before our own. Same with a lot of like investors and people that do trust work. Like, it is the expectation, and there's penalty for breaking the rules. I wouldn't say like the real estate commission's overwatching hugely, but there are committees for ethics, like everything in real estate, and they do hand out fines. And not that, you know, it's very easy to catch people, but I think if they see trends emerging, they may step in. It's important. I mean, we're helping people, again, make the biggest investment they ever make, whether it's their first or their third house. They're usually going higher, not lower. And some care should be taken in doing that. And I'm a huge advocate for that. And I'm hugely against anybody who doesn't do that, as you know.
Oh, yeah. I'm aware. Been told. This is, again, hey, we're going to take a quick break. This is our first segment of our second episode of Get Real with Ambassador Real Estate. If you have any questions, again, we will get to those 402-464-5685. We're talking real estate, buying, selling homes, other property. It's a lot. It's very important stuff. It's new to these airwaves, but a very important thing to be just talking about. We'll have more next on Get Real with Ben Bleicher on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hey there.
Hi, honey.
Uh-oh.
Remember we told Jamie and Mike about Liberty First Credit Union, how great their checking account and car loans are, the amazing service we get, and how we love being members?
Yeah.
Well, they took our advice. Jamie said how easy it was to move all their accounts and become members. Now they say they're banking with purpose at Liberty First Credit Union.
Learn more about being a member at libertyfirstcu.com. Liberty First Credit Union. Banking with purpose. Member NCUA.
There's a lot of realtors in Lincoln, but don't get overwhelmed by all the names. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realtor Group at Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador Real Estate is your go-to option when buying or selling residential and commercial property. Ben's team offers unbeatable customer service and promises to make the buying and selling process as stress-free as possible. Call Ben today at 402-419-6309 for all your real estate needs. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group at Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador Real Estate. No pressure, just professionalism.
Problem gambling affects more than the gambler. It affects spouses, children, extended family members, and friends. If you are a loved one who's struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 476-2300.
Hi, it's Joel Norman, the voice of your Lincoln Stars hockey team. Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket every Tuesday night from 8 to 9 p.m. to hear the latest on the Stars with myself, head coach Rocky Russo, and special player guests.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back.
Sure.
Sauter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SauterHeyman.com.
Hi, it's Charlie Stone again, and with me on the line, Andy Goodyear, General Manager of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, I know how proud you and everyone at the dealership are to earn the prestigious Honda President's Award year after year, 17 times. Tell our listeners what it means to you and your customers.
Thanks, Charlie. Yeah, all of us are extremely proud to have earned this award, and I want all of our customers to know it's not just earned by one person's efforts. It's the entire dealership. Sales, parts, and our amazing service department.
17 times. Wow. How does that compare to other Honda dealers?
This award is only given to the most elite dealerships that demonstrate excellence. We really do strive to go above and beyond for the ultimate customer experience before and after the sale, Charlie.
That's why for 2022, Honda of Lincoln is once again Nebraska's #1 volume Honda dealer. Come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business, 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Experience the Landmark difference with the next level of dealer support. Landmark, your local John Deere dealer, continually works to have parts on hand the first time you walk in the door. Our internal route system means we can get the parts to you typically same or next day to keep you up and running. At Landmark, we understand time is money. Get more uptime with our after-hours parts and service support on the phone or in the field. Our sales, precision ag, parts, and service teams are ready to serve you this planning season. Stop by your local Landmark today to experience the Landmark difference.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com. You know that feeling after a good, hearty meal? The worries of the world just slip away. Time slows down. Nothing but good times and good company. That's what you get with Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Mary Ellen's does food right, with a menu that includes smoked wings, pulled pork, brisket, catfish, and don't sleep on their sides, shrimp and grits, collard greens, baked beans. It's food that makes your heart happy. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul, just east of 27th and Pineland. Let them fix you a plate.
Hey there.
Hi, honey.
Uh-oh.
Remember we told Jamie and Mike about Liberty First Credit Union, how great their checking account and car loans are, the amazing service we get, and how we love being members?
Yeah.
Well, they took our advice. Jamie said how easy it was to move all their accounts and become members. Now they say they're banking with purpose at Liberty First Credit Union.
Learn more about being a member at libertyfirstcu.com. Liberty First Credit Union. Banking with purpose. Member NCUA.
There's a lot of realtors in Lincoln, but don't get overwhelmed by all the names. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realtor Group at Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador Real Estate is your go-to option when buying or selling residential and commercial property. Ben's team offers unbeatable customer service and promises to make the buying and selling process as stress-free as possible. Call Ben today at 402-419-6309 for all your real estate needs. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group at Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador Real Estate. No pressure, just professionalism.
Problem gambling affects more than the gambler. It affects spouses, children, extended family members, and friends. If you are a loved one who's struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 476-2300.
We are back on Get Real with Ben Bleicher, a professional realty group. Well, I said that was bad. Professional realty group, tough word to say, from Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Ambassador Real Estate. We do this once a week. We're talking real estate, buying, selling homes and properties, and learning the process. Who to trust. How to get there. Is Zillow good or bad? We mentioned that in the first segment. If you missed that, go back to the very first part of this. We are also on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter, and Allo channel 951. You can see Ben's face right now. If you're listening on the radio, go get it on Facebook. Get on YouTube. Go on Allo and see him. But again, we're also on the mobile app, online stream, and of course, 93.7 FM, talking all things sports, usually, but today and once a week, real estate with Ben Bleicher. So we teased before the break, and we mentioned it a little bit during the break also, Ben. But the age-old question is it a good time to buy? Now, again, we all know interest rates are up in terms of the buying market. Inflation is affecting not just housing, but everything. Inflation is affecting everything in our economy at this point. But let's address the question: is right now a good time to buy? Ben Bleicher, expert. What say you?
I say it's always a good time to buy. It is. I mean, real estate historically doesn't go down. Doesn't. I mean, our parents were paying. Obviously, inflation is a huge issue right now, but I mean, our folks paid probably $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for their first house, and you can't buy a lot for that much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I have some for sale, some over 6 figures, and the house doesn't come with it. You just get a piece of dirt that you have to mow until you build a house on it. Now is a good time to buy. It's always a better time to buy than the alternative, which is renting.
Explain that.
I shouldn't say always. Again, and I think we talked about this briefly last time. Like if you, not last time, but before we went to break, if you told me you were going to move in 2 or 3 years, probably wiser to rent rather than potentially risk being in a situation where you might lose money. But there's alternatives to that too. I'm a huge advocate for people getting into passive income. Rental property is a great way to do it. You get your tenant to pay your mortgage for every month until you own it, hopefully within 10 or 15 years. And then you have something you can liquidate, and you can liquidate it any time, really. And the value tends to not ever go down for less than you paid for. It almost always goes up. So same issue, that I'm discouraging you from, or anybody else from renting, is you're paying someone else's mortgage. No matter what, there's some bill that's due on the house that you're paying for that you're not earning in equity. And the biggest problem with not buying now and continuing to rent, or living in a house you don't like and your quality of life sucks because you haven't taken the plunge to get to that next level house like we all eventually want to get to. That's an issue. Interest rates are high right now, but guess what? They will come down. It's inevitable. I mean, you talk to any economist or watch any of these podcasts about it. It has to come down. Inflation is too high for interest rates not to come down. Either that or inflation needs to come down, which will happen if we have a recession or something, a terrible act. But I think it's more likely both might happen. See, I don't think any of us should throw out the R word.
You said it already.
I already did.
You did. It's like a cuss word, these airwaves.
But, I think people just need to be responsible about it. But, the problem with renting is that a lot of these people are paying the same payment they'd be paying to own it to rent it. What's the difference? You might as well at least be earning equity in it. And it's also a good opportunity for people to build credit. We have a lot of people that come to us and think they can't buy a house or they can't buy one because they have bad credit. You know how you fix that is you enter a situation where you have to fix it. And a lot of bankers are experts at fixing that. They don't always advertise it, but most bankers that I work with, you can go to them and not have a high enough credit score to get it, and they'll get you there. They'll guide you as like what you need to do it. Anyways, so inflation will continue as long as it does what it always has done, and rates will come down. So as long as you buy something you can afford now, at some point it will become more affordable. Refinance. I mean, I did it even on my first house that I bought in 2008. I think the original rate that I took was 6 3/4, which at the time was low. I mean, that's where we're at now. We're back there, although the value has gone up so high that it impacts it a little bit more. But that's what I bought it at, thinking that's where it would be forever. And I just accepted it. And then one day, rates all of a sudden went down to the 4s. I refinanced and I saved myself $500 a month.
It helps.
Yeah,
that's significant.
It does happen. But yeah, I think it's always wiser to own than rent as long as you are in a position where you intend to be there. The last few years, I would have told people that they only needed to own a house for 2 years and they could turn a profit. And it was true. I have clients that own a house for 1 year. Actually, friends of mine that moved to Arizona, hopefully they watch this. She and her husband took a job out of state literally 1 year after they bought a house over by Pirtle and turned a $50,000 profit. And I think all they did was put a fence up.
Wow. Yeah, I just think it's a common notion where sometimes, and I'm probably guilty. I'm lucky that my wife had that house before I even married her, but it's kind of it's hard to grow up sometimes. If you're probably in your mid-20s and like you said, you're paying a significant amount of rent per month that probably could be the same as a mortgage or close to that, it's time to make the leap. It's time to do
here's
that.
The deal. The mortgage costs you $500 a month more. Who cares?
It's equity.
You're still building equity, right?
Yes, it's something you can make money off of eventually.
Strengthening your position.
You stop renting, you don't make anything off it. You're just done paying a renting fee to that place.
Yeah,
there's nothing. There's no benefit at all.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I still think that I think it's important to move out of necessity. I think that makes the decision easier, and most people do. Their family expands. They have kids. They maybe have a small yard, decide they want a dog, which is a weird thing, but people buy houses for all sorts of reasons. It's usually because you want to change. You need more space. You need a better location. You work somewhere else. You don't want to live in a certain part of town anymore. You have kids and you want to get them into a certain school, private or public, whatever. Do those things. I see so many people that stay in houses for, 5 to 10 years longer than they ever intended to. And then there's this level of remorse by the time they finally get there. They're like, why were we not living our best life by having what we need? And it's okay. I mean, people are conservative about that sometimes, and that's okay. It's better than being reckless, for
It's
sure.
a conservative state. People are somewhat cautious with their money in the Midwest in general, especially this part of the Midwest.
It's why Lincoln's so great, honestly. I mean, we have one of the best insulated cities anywhere. I mean, even in 2007 through 9, we knew what was happening to the rest of the country because we saw it on the news, but we did not see the levels of foreclosure and bankruptcy and stuff like Detroit and, a lot of big cities. I mean, there are entire cities that are different from that event. Detroit's one.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. We hardly even felt it here. If we could have just turned off Fox and CNN and NBC News, we may not have even known anything was happening here in Lincoln. Thank you, UNL, and some other phenomenal employers we have that pay well and employ the majority of our state's employees.
So again, the message here is if you're on the fence about continuing to rent or look to buy a home, the answer is pretty much again, unless you're moving within a year or two, then maybe it does make sense to buy a home. You said the one example of somebody made $50,000 in 1 year just by putting up a fence. That's one example. But if you're planning on being here for 4 or 5 years or more, it's probably smart to go buy a house or consider it, because you're just letting money go in your rental process. Now, it's not up to you to pay the fees of things getting broken. I get that, but you also have no equity being built, and that's the whole mission of this in terms of always buy compared to rent.
And again, the point is not all of the equity is coming from you making your mortgage payment every month. It is due to inflation, which historically has only gone up. Again, we see short periods where deflation happens, but it's not very common. It's a very weird concept, actually.
Yeah.
Pay more, things get more expensive. Pay more, things it just keeps going up and up and up and up.
Yep.
And I'm sure it's not going to change anytime soon.
Probably not.
No.
All right, we will take one final break, and we'll come back and wrap things up again. You can always get a hold of Ben and his crew at PRG Realty Group with Berkshire Hathaway. You can get them at prg-ne.com/home value, right?
Yep.
That's the one. And then if you want to,
or they can just prg-ne.com.
Okay, got it.
And linked anywhere they want.
Phone number is 402-HOMES-4-U. The number 4, HOMES 4-U, the letter U. So if you're 402-HOMES-4-U, Ben Bleicher of Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Ambassador Real Estate. This is Get Real with Ben Bleicher here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hey there.
Hi, honey.
Uh-oh.
Remember we told Jamie and Mike about Liberty First Credit Union, how great their checking account and car loans are, the amazing service we get, and how we love being members?
Yeah.
Well, they took our advice. Jamie said how easy it was to move all their accounts and become members. Now they say they're banking with purpose at Liberty First Credit Union.
Learn more about being a member at libertyfirstcu.com. Liberty First Credit Union. Banking with purpose. Member NCUA.
There's a lot of realtors in Lincoln, but don't get overwhelmed by all the names. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realtor Group at Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador Real Estate is your go-to option when buying or selling residential and commercial property. Ben's team offers unbeatable customer service and promises to make the buying and selling process as stress-free as possible. Call Ben today at 402-419-6309 for all your real estate needs. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group at Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador Real Estate. No pressure, just professionalism.
Problem gambling affects more than the gambler. It affects spouses, children, extended family members, and friends. If you are a loved one who's struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 476-2300.
Hi, it's Joel Norman, the voice of your Lincoln Stars hockey team. Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket every Tuesday night from 8 to 9 p.m. to hear the latest on the Stars with myself, head coach Rocky Russo, and special player guests.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Sutter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back.
Sutter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SutterHeyman.com.
Hi, it's Charlie Stone again, and with me on the line, Andy Goodyear, General Manager of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, I know how proud you and everyone at the dealership are to earn the prestigious Honda President's Award year after year, 17 times. Tell our listeners what it means to you and your customers.
Thanks, Charlie. Yeah, all of us are extremely proud to have earned this award, and I want all of our customers to know it's not just earned by one person's efforts. It's the entire dealership. sales, parts, and our amazing service department.
17 times. Wow. How does that compare to other Honda dealers?
This award is only given to the most elite dealerships that demonstrate excellence. We really do strive to go above and beyond for the ultimate customer experience before and after the sale, Charlie.
That's why for 2022, Honda of Lincoln is once again Nebraska's #1 volume Honda dealer. Come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business, 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Experience the Landmark difference with the next level of dealer support. Landmark, your local John Deere dealer, continually works to have parts on hand the first time you walk in the door. Our internal route system means we can get the parts to you typically same or next day to keep you up and running. At Landmark, we understand time is money. Get more uptime with our after-hours parts and service support on the phone or in the field. Our sales, precision ag, parts, and service teams are ready to serve you this planning season. Stop by your local Landmark today to experience the Landmark difference.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com. You know that feeling after a good, hearty meal? The worries of the world just slip away. Time slows down. Nothing but good times and good company. That's what you get with Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Mary Ellen's does food right, with a menu that includes smoked wings, pulled pork, brisket, catfish. And don't sleep on their sides, shrimp and grits, collard greens, baked beans. It's food that makes your heart happy. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul, just east of 27th and Pineland. Let them fix you a plate.
Hey there.
Hi, honey.
Uh-oh.
Remember we told Jamie and Mike about Liberty First Credit Union, how great their checking account and car loans are, the amazing service we get, and how we love being members?
Yeah.
Well, they took our advice. Jamie said how easy it was to move all their accounts and become members. Now they say they're banking with purpose at Liberty First Credit Union.
Learn more about being a member at libertyfirstcu.com. Liberty First Credit Union. Banking with purpose. Member NCUA.
All right, we are back for one final segment this week on Get Real with Ben Bleicher, a professional realty group of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Ambassador Real Estate, one of the top real estate guys in all of Lincoln. Not just Lincoln, but all of Nebraska. Ben's the guy. See him on all sorts of billboards. He's got all sorts of signs up because people trust him. He does a good job. Does a good job with selling and helping people buy their properties. But again, you can always text for upcoming episodes and segments, 402-464-5685. You can comment on our video streams on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Allo, Channel 951, and again, on any sort of our streams as well. But before we get out of here, a few more minutes here, and I'm curious, Ben, we are in mid-November. The holidays are approaching. Thanksgiving is next Thursday already. It's coming up next Thursday. Christmas is, comes up soon after that, and all of a sudden it's New Year's, and boom, we're into 2024, and the year's already over. I'm curious, the end of the year is a big spending time for gifts and all sorts of holiday stuff. How does that affect the house buying market? How do real estate agents view November and December as year-end stuff, knowing that money is being spent all over the place on gifts and Christmas and everything?
And maybe not houses.
Yeah, right.
Oh, as Andrew will tell you, that this season drives me nuts because
I'm sure it does.
Just take time off, and I enjoy the holidays.
You're not the Grinch, are you, Bear Ben?
I don't like that everything sort of goes on hold from Halloween until December 31st. Because like I said, I'm active, like I'm always going. So when there's these like slow lulls where things are just like super quiet, I can go nuts. But I've also had like extremely busy Decembers. What drives that is weather, whether the Cornhusker football team wins or loses. Seriously, like it's impactful. We play Saturday, and if we lose, Sunday is sometimes people are depressed.
Mm-hmm.
Go out and look at houses. But when we win, I swear open houses are like twice as busy. But the holiday season does affect things. Our agents generally, this is a regrouping time. We set goals for next year. And like I said, I've had Januaries where we sold so much in December that we closed $10 to $12 million worth of houses in January. That's not every year. And why it happened the years that it did, who knows? I have no idea. Some things just are not trackable. We can track a lot of things, but some things are just beyond, I guess, human recognition. Anyways, things tend to slow down a little bit. People stop and smell the roses a little bit. They travel more. This is actually supposed to be one of the least traveled years the U.S. has seen. I don't know if they're basing that off of how many flights are booked around the U.S. I don't know if you saw that.
I did not see that.
It was on one of the news stations the other day. More people will be staying home this year. So whether that equates to them buying houses or not, I guess we'll see what happens. Like I said, there's no full rhyme or reason behind everything. But anyways, it's a good time of year. I think it's a great time of year to buy. I think now is a phenomenal time to buy for people with this slowdown, and people are not moving as fast as I think they should. I mean, it's been 3 years since people have been able to know for sure they're going to get inspections on a house and potentially get closing costs paid by sellers. I wouldn't say that it's fully shifted to a buyer's market, but it certainly is not a seller's market like it was the last 3 years. So what better time to buy? I mean, it's much safer in my opinion than it was 3 years ago. And really the only unattractive thing is the interest rate. Just make sure you can cover it for a few years, or I'll just touch on this. You can buy your rate down, and they have special programs called 3-2-1 and 2-1 rate buy downs where, I mean, some people are getting into the fives for interest rates using a buy down. And I don't want to get too much into this, but there are certainly different programs that can benefit people, and it is definitely much friendlier for buyers now. Now, there's not a ton of inventory to look at, but they can be pickier. They can kind of have their cake and eat it too, aside from the interest rate. But that's life. Interest rates go up and down, and that's hopefully going to change sooner than later, but we're never going to see 2s and 3s again. At least in my opinion. I hope we don't. They probably shouldn't have left the rates there as long as they did anyways. But
4 is reasonable.
Somewhere, honestly, if rates went down to 5 tomorrow, I think we'd go right back to the way things were a year ago. Which is why they're probably not going to go back down to 5 right away, because we need things to even out a little bit. But yeah, that would worry me if they dropped it that fast that quick. That's what they did last time, is they dropped there and they didn't go up fast enough.
So what Ben is saying, that if you are someone that tends to spend all your money in this time of year on gifts and stuff, you can still spend money on that, but just keep your eye open for potentially buying a house. If you're in the market,
buy yourself a gift.
Yep, a big gift.
Treat yourself.
You know what? You have to pay it. There's a mortgage for a reason. You have to pay it all. Don't look at that final price. There's a path to that. There's a road to that. It's not that off the bat. There's a down payment.
You think your kids would like a brand new house with a big playground in the backyard?
I know a guy you can talk to. He's right across from me. His name's Ben Bleicher. That's it for us. Anything else you want to add before we wrap this up, Ben, today? Anything you want to promote?
I just hope everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving. It's my favorite holiday. Absolutely. I don't know why.
Do you watch football all day? Or no?
We watch football all day, and I go to my aunt and uncle's in Council Bluffs. I just love going there. I don't know what it is, just my favorite holiday. And I love turkey and mashed potatoes, so I'm super ready for next Thursday.
All right. Well, again, this has been Get Real with Ben Bleicher. Again, if you want to get a hold of Ben and the team, prg-ne.com, or you can call the number 402 Homes for You. He is with Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Ambassador Real Estate. And this is our second episode. Wrapped it up here now. So appreciate all of you watching on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and Allo 951, and listening also online and at theticketfm.com and 93.7 FM. We will be back next week. This is, again, Get Real with Ben Bleicher. Until next week, he's for Ben Bleicher. I am Jake Sorensen. We'll see you soon.
See you guys.